Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Piera, and today I am here with award-winning author Jay Kristoff to talk about his new novel, Darkdawn. For those of you who don't know, Darkdawn is the third and final book in the CHRONICLEs. Do you want to tell us about it?
What should I tell you? Like, give you the non-spoilery blurb?
Non-spoilery blurb.
Okay, so presumably people have read books 1 and 2. So after the fallout of book 2, Mia is on the run with her baby brother Jonan, who she thought was dead. Her mentor Mercurio has been captured by the Red Church, and she is also kind of on a quest to discover where her powers originate from, what is at the source of the meta plot and the conflict between the god of light and the goddess of night, and how she fits into that in a kind of metaphysical sense. So it's the end of her personal revenge journey, but also an explanation of who and what she is in the greater tapestry of the world.
How do you feel about it now that it's over? You're done. She's done. She's dead.
She's dead.
You killed her.
I
She's
killed
straight
her.
up dead.
She's straight up dead. I
Not
didn't
a
promise.
spoiler. It's
No.
literally page 1.
Page 1, paragraph 3. It was sad, but I mean, the weird thing about publishing is I finished writing the book a year ago or more. So all the feels that I had when I was finishing up the series, I kind of put them to bed a year ago and then moved on with it. And then you've got to kind of reopen that wound when you go out and do the promo for it. So I'm kind of feeling a little bit sad again. It was a really fun series, and she's a great character and she means a lot to people. So saying goodbye to that it was kind of like, I guess maybe sending your kid off to college or something. I don't have any kids. I don't know
I didn't
what
go to
kids
college,
are like. But yeah, it's kind of, letting them go and go out into the world and be their own thing. So it was bittersweet, to use a cliche turn of phrase, but I liked the ending that she got. I feel like it was the ending that she and the story deserved. I'm happy with the way it wrapped up. So I'm as happy as could be, given the fact that I'll probably never see her again.
Ow. So does that mean you're not going back to the world?
I mean, I don't have plans to. I feel like Mia's story has been told. There's a definite full stop at the end of her sentence now. And the world itself is quite different by the end of Darkdawn. It's not the world that the series started. So I'm not sure what a new book in that world would even look like. So I don't have any plans to go back. You can't ever say never.
Yeah.
If someone were to drive a dump truck full of money up to my house tomorrow and say, write 3 more Nevernight books, I probably would. But I don't have any plans, so I'm working on other stuff now. So
Nice. And so this ending, did you know you had this ending when you started? Or like when throughout like the story did you kind of go, that's how it should go?
I didn't know until the very end. I actually wrote 3 different endings for the book. And the ending that we ended up with is the least depressing of all of them. So when you read what happens in Darkdawn, bear in mind that it could have been far, far worse. I didn't know how it was going to turn out until I got there. I had a rough idea of what the overall path of the book was going to be, but I didn't know how it was going to finally resolve until I wrote that particular ending, and it just felt the right one. So that was the one I stuck with.
And is that the same with the narrator? 3 different narrators for 3 different endings, or?
No, I decided who the narrator was going to be pretty quickly in... Well, to be fair, I probably had a really good idea by the end of Godsgrave who it was. There was still a couple of possibilities. There were 3 distinct possibilities. When I was writing Nevernight, I had no idea who the narrator was going to be. By the end of Godsgrave, I had a pretty good idea, and by the start of Darkdawn, I knew, just because the identity of that narrator very quickly starts shaping the plot of the 3rd book. So I had to decide pretty quickly who it was going to be. And I had put pieces in place in Godsgrave that led to that inevitable conclusion. So I knew about that a lot quicker than I knew what the end of the book was going to be.
What surprised you the most while writing book 3? Did anything kind of go... Because you always say you're a pantser more than a plotter.
Yeah. So
was there anything as you were kind of writing that you were like, oh shit?
No, I mean, I am a pantser by nature, so I didn't know what... I knew where the book was going to end. I knew kind of the set piece that was going to conclude the novel. But I didn't know how the characters were going to get there, and I didn't know how that was going to resolve. So, I mean, the ending is probably the most surprising, given that I wrote 3 different ones. Like, even when I was writing the ending, I didn't know what it was going to actually be. I really had to find that by feel. Fully explore 3 different options, one of which was like super, super dark, and one was mildly dark, and one was the one that we ended up with, which is still pretty dark, but it wasn't you know,
do you consider it a happy
scorched
ending?
fucking earth. It's certainly, it's the happiest of the three that I wrote. Victory comes with a price. That's one of the guiding principles of me when I write. You have to pay something for your victory, and the characters certainly do. But yeah, I guess it's a kind of happy ending. I mean, what do you think? Do you think it was a happy ending?
I was surprised for like what you always say about you're gonna like. I mean, realistically, like Nevernight, God's Grave, you just fucking rip out hearts and like chew on them.
Sure.
So I genuinely was expecting to just like ready to like carve into my gravestone my final words.
Yeah, right.
Surprisingly, didn't. There were definitely points throughout the book where I was like, well, fuck this guy, like I'm done.
Yeah.
But I would consider it bittersweet personally.
Yeah.
I found it bittersweet. I was happy with it.
Would you have been happy with like just a fucking scorched earth ending? I don't think people would have been. I think people would have been really mad.
If I could see the reason that you did it, if it ended any differently, I probably would have like, you would have got a very aggressive message. I'm like, wait, fuck you, for starters.
Yes, the internet would have been angrier with me than it usually is. So, yeah.
That's pretty angry.
I know.
Like realistically.
I know, I'm an asshole.
You're not as bad as you say you are.
Am I as bad as other people say?
No, definitely also not that. Are there any characters inspired from real life throughout book 3? I know you've mentioned like book 1 and book 2 and stuff, but is there anyone in book 3? For example, there's a character that I love, Cloud. Is he inspired by anyone?
No, I don't know anyone. I don't know anyone that cool.
I wish. I wish.
I did.
I wanted to ask, like, I'd be like, can you introduce me
to that guy?
Because I love that person. Whoever that is, I love them.
No, I wish my friends were as cool as Cloud is. I don't think so. I mean, there are little bits and pieces of people that I know, but I'm really careful not to be too self-referential in that sense because your friends can get upset at you if they recognise themselves in your books.
Yeah.
But
that'd be like a bit of an honour as well. I mean, depending what you did to them.
Yeah.
Like, you'd be like, oh,
it'd probably
sweet,
be something
but,
bad.
100%. Yeah, no, that's fair. So. They're not safe in your books, essentially.
Yeah.
So, you mentioned in the last kind of launch nights that there were a lot of kind of words in book 1 that didn't make the cut. And was it the same for book 3? Like, is there any scenes that you wrote for book 3 that just kind of didn't make the final cut, or did you kind of have it by then?
Yeah.
3 books in, you kind of have an idea of what's going on.
I mean, there was a threesome. I wrote a threesome that didn't make the cut.
Should have.
Because that was just...
I'm glad it didn't, though.
Yeah, that would have been weird.
It was great,
but it wouldn't have worked.
It wouldn't have worked.
No, it would have been weird. And that was... Like, I knew that readers wanted that. You know, I was getting asked about it a lot.
Service. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have to be mindful of giving your readers what they want in a sense because... they're the people who help you pay your electricity bill, so you don't want to piss them off too badly.
Fair.
But at the same time, you want to do what's right for the story. So that was a really good example of me trying out something that I thought the readers wanted, and in the end deciding that it just didn't work.
Worst case, you can just sell it on like fan fiction.
Well, I mean, it's you get it for free with a pre-order of Darkdawn. Like you just write into the email address with your pre-order proof of purchase, and it'll get sent to you on publication day. So
I highly recommend it.
Yeah,
I can personally recommend and endorse this threesome.
Good, I'm glad it worked. But yeah. So that was a good example of something that I wrote and just it got cut. That was probably the most complete scene that got cut. Oh, actually no, I tell a lie.
Monster.
Book 4, part 4. I thought the story was going in a particular direction, and then it veered quite sharply away. So I probably threw about 20,000 words away from that. Like when Mia goes off by herself to the crown of the moon, the original version I wrote, everyone came with her.
Oh.
So that Mariel and Adonai was there, and Trick was there. And Mercurio was there.
Everyone was there.
Yeah, it was like getting the band back together. Yeah.
Alright, I got a couple of reader questions for you.
Okay.
So first of all, what is your favourite part of crafting a new world? And especially going into like Empire of the Vampire now, obviously it's like in that kind of dark epic fantasy but different to your sci-fi sort of stuff. What is your kind of favourite part of being able to sit down and go, this is the world in which it all exists?
Really good question.
Thanks, I didn't think of it.
Shout
out to
thank you, Rita. My favourite part, I mean, I'm the real kind of granular level detail guy. I grew up reading kind of doorstopper epic fantasy where you could spend 3 pages talking about why the chainmail in this particular region is the way it is. Like, I like that level of granular detail.
Explains your footnotes.
But yeah, at the same time, I realise not a lot of readers do, or some readers just don't, which is why I tried to compartmentalise that stuff in the footnotes in Nevernight. But for me, that's the fun, working out that kind of Yeah, that fine print level detail. Like,
It's playing God for fun.
Yeah, it really is. It's like
yeah.
playing in a sandbox, yeah. But at the same time, I take on board that not everyone is into that level of detail, so I have to kind of tread the line between having fun with it myself and boring readers to tears.
First of all, how do you deal with the responsibility of telling a story that means so much to people, as you were saying, especially with things like Mia's bisexuality? Because I know that's a lot of people that I see kind of talking about it is, Mia helped me figure out who I was, helped me come out, all that sort of stuff. How do you feel kind of the responsibility, but I mean the feedback to that has mostly been positive.
Yeah, it's been amazing, which is weird. There seems to be a perception out there in some quarters that you can't write about a thing unless you are the thing or do the thing, and I'm definitely not a teenage bisexual girl. So it is really gratifying.
I feel light.
Yeah, I know.
Rips off a mask.
I know. Yeah. Rip off the beard.
Oh my God.
So I feel really grateful and really gratified when people who have lived that experience come up to me and tell me that it helped them recognize themselves. Or I had an amazing experience in a line once where a girl came up with God's Grave in her hand and she said, this book was the way I came out to all of my friends. That kind of blew me away.
Yeah.
I try and treat it with the respect that it is due, and from the reactions that I've got from readers, which are overwhelmingly positive, I think I did it justice. I don't agree with the idea that you have to be a thing to write a thing. I think the inevitable conclusion of that train of thought is that all we can write is autobiographies. I've never been a police officer. I've never been a soldier. I've never put my life in another person's hands and asked them to do the same. I've never been an astronaut, and I've never been an artificial intelligence. I've written all these things. I didn't have to have lived that experience to be able to be empathetic to that condition. And I kind of feel the same way about Mia and her sexuality. And like I say, I'm really grateful and really humbled by the reactions from readers. It's sometimes difficult to come to grips with that in your head, because these are imaginary people that live inside my head, and I write them sitting on my couch in my tracksuit pants and my Ugg boots, so it's hard for me to actually really appreciate the level to which that thing, which seems quite mundane might be the wrong word for me, normal I guess, can be extra normal or super important to someone else. It's taken me a couple of years to kind of get to grips with that idea and to accept the responsibility of that.
Piece of advice for your younger self, younger readers, or just anyone aspiring to things.
Yeah, don't quit is excellent advice, because you can't fix a book that doesn't exist. You can fix a broken car, but you can't fix a non-existent car. So no matter how bad the draft is, it can get better when you redraft. That's kind of the point of writing. But the one I tell everybody, and it's kind of cheesy and cornball when I say it, but it's just believe in yourself. Because when you choose to make art for a living, no matter what that art is, you're going to be constantly confronted by people who tell you all the reasons why you can't and shouldn't be wasting your time. And that can be pretty hard to overcome. Self-belief is the weapon by which you do that. So believe in yourself, because for the longest time, no one else will. Inevitably, when you're creating art for a living, you're going to find yourself at a juncture where you're asking yourself, am I crazy to be following through with this dream? Am I a lunatic to be believing that this is possible? And self-belief is the fuel you use to get over that hurdle. So yeah, it's an essential part of creating art for a living. So as corny as it sounds, yeah, believe in yourself. Don't stop. Whatever that
Don't stop believing.
Yeah, that's the one.
Nice.
I was trying to think of that Glee reference. I don't watch Glee.
Good.
You may not know it to look at me.
Shit.
But yeah, I'm not a huge Glee fan.
Quick fire round. All Darkdawn Nevernight related. Mia or Cassius?
As in, is this like Kiss, Marry, Kill, or just...
Wow, no, but if you want to,
No.
that's also fine.
Kind of hanging out with your daughter, no. Who I prefer? Mia. I killed Cassius in the first book. I actually didn't like him too much.
Literal fan question was, why did you kill Daddy?
Oh, really?
So, yeah. It's going to haunt you forever, that, isn't it?
Because,
the Daddy.
The Daddy thing is weird.
You've copped that a few times now,
I've copped that a lot. Yeah, Dark Daddy. It's a weird hashtag.
Dark Daddy.
Dark Daddy. Yeah.
That's fucked.
I know.
It's fucked up.
I know. My wife is going through my Instagram.
Your poor
so,
wife. Oh my
Jesus.
god.
She's totally not impressed
She
by
must
me.
handle a lot. So she's like, really? You, of all people?
I know. It's like, man, yeah.
That's the best.
She's seen me at my worst.
Dark Daddy.
Yeah.
So from now on, when I start adding that hashtag to things, I'm going to think back to this conversation and how you just... I feel like I say daddy, like, no, honestly, we had a conversation in LA where you explained sugar daddying to me.
Right, yeah.
And I didn't really know about it too much before that.
That's weird.
I had an idea because I started saying daddy ironically to everything.
Yeah,
and there are some things like that I specifically, you tweeted something and I wanted to end it with a daddy or insert a daddy, and then I just flashed back to that and I'm like, I worry if he thinks that I don't remember that conversation and I'm seriously calling you daddy. Or by now you probably know that I'm fucking with you.
No, I know that you're fucking with me.
But there are some people who don't.
Right, there are innocent, no, not innocent, there are spectators to that conversation who are going to draw conclusions from that, like, oh, that's
what's
why.
going on.
Right.
Can confirm that is not what's going on.
No.
Just if you were wondering.
Most definitely not.
Sorry. Shadow powers or blood powers?
I'm going to go with blood.
Really?
I mean, I'm writing a vampire book right now, and there is a lot of blood magic in Empire, so I have blood magic on the brain at the moment.
What about blood or Marielle's flesh weaving thing?
Yeah, flesh or blood, I would still go with blood.
Pirates or assassins?
Assassins. Pirates are filthy. Like, we romanticize pirates way too much. Living on a
Like
ship.
Vikings as well.
Yeah, living
like
on a
they
ship.
Stink.
They would
They
stink.
smell so bad.
They would fucking reek.
Halitosis.
Like, no one brushed their teeth. No one showered. They, like, got scurvy and shit. No. Not, yeah.
Well, to be
Pirates,
fair,
no
Travis
good.
Fimmel playing Ragnar, like, set
I mean,
a
he's a
whole
badass.
level for, like, oof.
He's a badass.
Big oof.
Yeah. But have you seen pictures of him as a young dude?
Have you seen pictures of him in general?
Yeah, but have you seen him as a young
Yeah,
man?
he came out attractive.
Fucking hell.
Like, he just came out looking like that. And then when they dressed him up as Ragnar, I feel like you could hear women and men just gushing
I
throughout
know.
the
It's
entire
like,
world.
dude, say something for the rest of us.
What about the rest
But
of us?
young
Me and
Travis Fimmel was like Geordie, the dude who got playing Trick, he's fucking ridiculously good looking. But Travis Fimmel has that dude beat. He's like, he's
up.
an 11. He's crazy.
Shadow Cat or Shadow Wolf? Or alternatively, Mr. Kindly or Eclipse in personality.
Mr. Kindly because he's more useful, he's practical. Eclipse is just kind of a dog in the sense that she'll go along for the ride. As long as there's violence happening, she's happy. Whereas Mr. Kindly will give you advice and tell you that you're being a dick. That's the kind of friend you want with you. Right before you steal the car, you want a friend to say, no, don't do that. That's a really dumb thing to do. Right before you walk up and pants the police officer or something, you want a buddy who can tell you. It'd be funny, but
But isn't it much more fun if you have one of each?
Yeah, I mean, if you can have both, that'd be great, yeah.
Revenge or acceptance?
Revenge.
You're like a Sikh revenge grudge holder, or?
Yeah, I nurse my grudges, yes. I love my
well
grudges.
Cultivated.
They are
in
my
a garden.
children, yeah.
Ash or Trick? I know you've technically made this decision, but...
I like Ash because she's more interesting to write. Trick is a little more straight up and down the line, and Ash is a more complex character, both in the way that she sees the world and her morality. Trick's a bit of a softie at heart. He kind of goes along with what Mia wants, whereas Ash
He loves her.
challenges Mia. I mean, Ash loves her as well, but
whatever.
she pushes her. Ash is the friend who tells you don't fucking do that. It's a stupid idea. Even though I love you a lot, what you're about to do is dumb, so don't. Whereas Trick will just, you are my queen, you are my fucking whatever. You're my heart.
Something about a crown, stars.
Yeah, I would.
It was beautiful
ripping
and
every
I loved it.
Star out of heaven to fashion you a crown. It's like, dude, you can't actually do
Who
that.
speaks like that?
I know.
Like, who says that shit?
And if she says, all right, well then do it.
It's like,
I'll be
cool,
waiting here. Bring me my crown of stars and fucking impress me, guy.
Alright, what can you tell us about Empire the Vampire? And what else you're working on?
So Empire is the next kind of grimdark epic fantasy that I'm doing. It's going to take Nebernight's place in the rotation. Set in a world where there's been kind of a cataclysmic event that blocks out the sunlight. So it's based on actually a real event that happened in 536 and 540 AD. There was, I mean, record keeping was pretty bad back in the day, but there was probably a volcanic explosion or a meteor impact, which threw a tremendous amount of particulate matter into the air, and it kind of blocked out the sun. And so there was huge crop failures and terrible famine, and all kinds of sadness happened as a result. But in the world that I've created, an event like that happens, but vampires are real, and they realize that they can now walk around during the day. So the one thing that was kind of keeping them in check and making them live in secret is no longer a factor. And so these vampires who have been living in secret for centuries kind of pop up and start taking over this country. And the book is about a guy named Gabriel he's kind of like this legendary warrior figure who has fallen on really hard times. And he's kind of at the end of his life. He's in a prison cell awaiting execution for the murder of the Vampire King. Again, that's not a spoiler. You find that out on the first page.
First page isn't out yet.
Yeah, I know.
Just kidding, yeah.
But he's telling the story of his life to a vampire historian, a chronicler, who is recording his story and also illustrating parts of the story as the story is told. And Gabe is telling the story about how he reached the point where he is at, and the events that led to him being where he's at. So it's kind of a combo of Name of the Wind and Interview with the Vampire, I guess, would be how I frame it. And yeah, it's kind of, in terms of tone, it's like Nevernight. So it's an adult series. There's lots of darkness and gore and smutty bits. So it's definitely an adult read. Go into it with your eyes open. Don't expect Illuminae levels of fluff, because yeah, it's Nevernight in tone, I guess. It's Nevernight's spiritual successor.
So I can assume none of your vampires will sparkle.
No, the vampires in this book they're evil. They're the kind of vampires that I grew up reading when I was a kid. So there's Salem's Lot and Interview with the Vampire style vampires. They're the bad guys. And that's one of the things that I explore in the book, the idea that on a long enough timeline, everything falls apart, everything erodes. So if you're a person who's alive for 300 years and you're constantly killing people to live, you're eventually going to stop seeing people as people and start seeing them as food. And so the older vampires in this book are completely inhuman, and I'm having a lot of fun kind of exploring the different ways that would manifest, the different kinds of madness that would lead you to, because I think it would inevitably drive you mad, but how it works is a really fun way to, it's a fun sandbox to be playing in, and kind of juxtaposing that with Gabe and the humans that he knows who have all gone through horrible things, and the way that those experiences have shaped the people that they became as well. So yeah, it's an exploration of time, I guess. Time is one of the big themes in the book, and religion is another one. Like I said, it's asking some of the questions that I have and had about organised religion and the concept of God and a benevolent creator. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it's quite grim.
Great. Looking forward to it.
Yeah. I look forward to it. It's not written yet.
Alrighty, so thank you for hanging out, chatting about Darkdawn.
Always.
I will leave links below where you can go and pick up yourself a copy, and we'll see you next time. Bye!